off with this.
G6.
Oops.
So it looks like he's getting ready to fianchetto his dark squared bishop. So maybe a plan could be to get what I'm thinking right now is maybe getting my bishop to like f4 and the queen to d2, and then getting a bishop to h6 after he castles, and then maybe trying to get rid of his dark squared bishop. But for now, let's just try to build up a center.
All right, so I'm just going to fianchetto the bishop and try and take a
I don't know why I played c.
hypermodern approach here and attack the center with minor pieces, let my opponent kind of build it up here, and then I'll attack.
Okay. Normally I would just play e3 here. I'm wondering if e4 is overextending. Because that's of course attacked now. So let's just develop the knight. It defends the pawn a second time.
Okay, so yeah, I think I want to do something, maybe a d6. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking d6 just to
okay, so I was expecting knight f6 there.
Help develop bishop.
He wants to develop his bishop to g4 and pin my knight. So I'm looking at possibly is something like g3 prudent. I mean, not, excuse me, h3 necessary. Or can I just sneak in e4 right now? Or should I play e3 defending the pawn? The knight and queen already defend it, so I don't see a reason to defend it again. So I think e4 is okay here. I hope. And if he...
Okay, so my opponent is trying to grab as much center as he can. I think that's probably a good idea. Now, right now, I'm thinking about whether I want to develop, say, knight f6 or just challenge his center right away with something like c5. I think both are pretty good options, maybe even an e5, but not so sure about that. Other candidate moves, maybe like a knight d7. The reason I'm kind of hesitant on an e5 or a c5 is because I'm just wondering what happens if he takes, especially with c5. c5 probably bad because he'll just take, right? Then if I take, he grabs and I can't castle. I mean, it's probably not bad or losing, but it's not fun, that's for sure. So maybe knight f6 or e5 right away. I think I like knight c6 just because it's supporting a potential e5. If I want to get my bishop out later, I can still do that. And it might provoke a d5, so.
Okay, so that move adds a second attacker to the pawn, but it is defended twice. So let me just do the counting real quick. If knight takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, queen takes d4, centralized queen aiming at his rook. So I see no need to add another defender to that pawn. Um, is he thinking about maybe jumping into b4? No, he could just be easily chased away with a3, so that can't be possible. Um, he could be thinking about a5, attacking the unprotected c4, but it's protected by my bishop. Yeah, I don't see a reason. So I'm thinking about bishop to d3, just completing development. It's defending the two pawns. I can castle. Still waiting for him to play knight to f6 and castle, and then maybe look to play like bishop here, um, bishop to f4, queen d2, bishop h6. Um, we'll see if that idea ever comes to fruition. I don't see any other direct threats right now at the moment. My only concern is if I play the bishop here, he could play bishop to g4 and have an annoying pin, but then I can immediately chase it away with h3. But then if he takes, my queen can take back. So
All right. My next move is gonna be for sure bishop g4 with the idea of grabbing the knight and then grabbing d4. So right now, the only thing defending d4 is the knight, so I'm threatening to remove it.
can I just castle here, or do I need to make a decision about the bishop now? Let's let's see what he wants to do first. Oh, the joy of hanging pawns. Tisk, tisk, tisk. So there goes. Actually, d4 has been hanging ever since I moved the bishop. So he could have had that earlier. Oh, man. God, that sucks.
Okay, kind of just to expand on my idea a little bit from last move. Um, I'm kind of wondering if that was bad because I could have just taken the pawn anyway and maybe just traded that knight off and kept my bishop. But it's too late for that now. So, what happens if knight takes? The queen has to move somewhere. Um, Not exactly sure where the queen goes, but I think grabbing with the knight followed by e5 looks pretty good. So knight grabs d4, queen moves somewhere, and then e5. Maybe with ideas of bringing my knight to e7 and then to c6 to reinforce the knight on d4. So that's my idea now.
Yeah, this is going to be a very short game. Um, so yeah, now I'm just down a central pawn with absolutely no compensation, and it's very very bad. I have absolutely nothing to show for it. My queen's on pre. Does she have to run home? I think she can go here, but yeah, I have absolute nothing.
I know I said e5 after this, but now I'm not sure. I mean, I have a knight developing move. I could develop my knight to either h6 or f6 and hit the queen. Developing with tempo doesn't seem like a bad idea at all. But then I start blocking in the bishop if I go knight f6, which may not be bad. Um, the reason I like e5 or c5 is because it's making his bishop look pretty ridiculous. Um, yeah. So what? Here. Not quite sure. So maybe just develop and then e5 or c5. See where he wants to put his queen here.
Yeah. Um, don't really need to comment much more. I'm just gonna kind of be running away at this point. No real need to continue planning.
I'm just going to attack it again with knight h5. Yeah, I believe that's a good idea. Okay, maybe maybe it wasn't the greatest idea. Um, f5 doesn't look so great. Um, okay, so just reset that. That was probably not great. Um, oh, sorry for no commentary. Right now, I'm just looking at queen queen d7, just so I can kind of stop that queen g4 response if I swing my knight back to h5. So looks good. Now swing the knight in. um, I was thinking knight f4, but I wasn't. I didn't think that all the way through. So yeah, that doesn't really do anything. Um, so I'll just go ahead and hit the pawn with knight f6. Okay. I think h5 deserves some consideration here. h5, and then if g5, probably just knight d7. I think here I just have to go king d7, right? Just to stop this knight from any shenanigans. Seems kind of scary. Or I can take. I mean, I don't know. Suddenly, I'm not really liking my position. Think I should have taken a few more seconds on some of these moves here. Okay. Okay, now I have a few ideas. I'm thinking about grabbing G4, um, but maybe grabbing this knight first. So knight takes D5, followed by grabbing G4. That actually looks pretty good. And then once pawn recaptures G4, whether or not we trade rooks, he's gonna have double G pawn. So looks pretty good. Yeah, I think I like that.
Okay, sorry, all. I was just trying to gain some time on the clock, and I really clearly didn't have a plan. I was just down a pawn for nothing. But I guess I should still commentate. Trying to decide what pawn to take with. E takes looks favorable because it gives the bishop scope. But what is the bishop really going to do on that diagonal? Um, if I take with the C pawn, I'm giving it scope the other way, and I'm capturing towards the center. Um, Obviously, when this knight moves, I think when I castle, I'm trying to think. Or B2, this is how sad. Is B2 defended when I castle after the knight moves? I think it is. Castles puts the king on C1, doesn't it? Puts the king on C1 and the rook on D1, so B2 will be defended. So yeah, so I'm going to capture with this pawn. With the C pawn, C captures.
Okay, so now I just want to grab this pawn, and probably I'm in pretty good shape. I have to be careful because my knight is kind of running low on squares, but at the moment I should be okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to grab on G4. Actually, let me think about it. Do I have some type of sack here? I don't think so. Yeah, I might want to undermine this D pawn just so my knight has somewhere to go. But okay, let's just see here.
Huh, I guess he chose not to move his knight. So can I just castle? No, I drop a pawn if I castle. My rook's in pre-2. Show what? Could play. No, I can't even play check. Knight takes. Bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop, castles, rook takes rook, rook takes rook. I really don't want to get rid of my bishop because I have such weak dark squares and he would just dominate them so badly. I don't know, is king f2 even thinkable here? Just to defend the pawn so I don't lose a pawn, defends the rook. Is that doable? Queens are off the board, moves the king toward the center. Two major pieces are still on the board. Weak, very weak light squares. I really don't want to get rid of the dark squared bishop. King f2, g takes f, g takes f, rook takes is a thought. Guess if he moves this knight, I can just play rook b2, although that's a very passive move. I'm really thinking king f2 here. I hope I'm not missing. Oh, can he play g3 check? No, I can just take. Can I? Yeah. Okay.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Um, okay. So I think I can just take this pawn, right? That's just another pawn. So that looks pretty good. Hmm. Yeah, I think taking the pawn is okay. Um, okay. So what do we do here? Why not? Um, is c5 crazy here or no? c5. What happens after c5? No, I want to undermine his pawn here. So c6. No, no, no. I don't want to. I don't want to drop a pawn. So c6, d takes c6, b takes c6. Then my my a rook is the only thing defending this pawn. So that's not good. But does he have time to take it? Hmm. Not sure.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure if I go back on the moves, I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm pretty sure my rook was hanging at some point with the king in between. I could be wrong, but I think probably like 2 or 3 moves ago, rook takes was probably winning. So in addition to dropping a pawn, I dropped 2 rooks in this game. So that's a fantastic showcase of awesomeness. Um, I have no real favorable imbalances in the position. I guess technically it's 2 bishops versus a bishop and a knight. Um, I have more space in the center, um, but he's got a 2 to 3 majority on the king side. Yeah, I guess. I think that's the king side. Um, and uh, he's got a pretty good knight. I really don't want to go to an end game here. I want to not do that. But if I don't take, um, if if I don't take, he could play. He could play c5, kind of solidifying that knight's position and making that a fantastic post, making his already better knight even better than my horrendous bishops. Um, if I if I take, it's technically opening the position up, which technically should be favoring me. Plus, there's pawns on both sides of the board, which technically should be favoring me, but I don't really see a way to take advantage of any of that or a clear cut plan. Um, I guess if he plays pawn takes, the B file is opened up, um, along with the H file. Yeah, I think I take here.
All right, I think I want to recapture with my knight, just to reroute it to e5. Just kind of analyzing the position during my opponent's turn. I'm realizing I'm up 2 pawns, so um, I should probably be playing a little bit faster than I am. Although capturing with the pawn probably isn't too bad either. But then he has a 2-on-1, so. But I'm up pawns here. I'm up pawns, so. Yeah, I mean, I'm up pawns.
All right. So F7 isn't defended. Meaningless, but it's not defended. I was thinking for a brief second something like bishop to F1, bishop to H4 at some point. But again, what does that do? Nothing. Um, Bishop C5, targeting this weak pawn. I have no idea. Clearly, I have no idea. So bishop C4 targeting F7, he just moves it. And but I guess the bishop has a little bit more scope, maybe, because he's on the A2 to G8 diagonal. I don't know. Um, I got nothing.
Right. So I was thinking knight c2 would be good. Knight c2 is probably good. Okay, I'm thinking rook h2 check. If he goes to either g3 or g1, then I have just knight takes e3. So I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, this is probably winning. Rook, rook h2.
And I believe that wins. Yeah. That is going to be winning. I saw that as soon as I made that move. So I think, yeah. I guess, I don't know, King G3 is my only try here, I think. But that's winning.
Yeah, so like I was saying, if he goes to g3 or g1, then I can just grab this bishop. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
And normally, I would save everybody some time and resign, but I think in amateur's mind, you're supposed to play it until it's done. So, but yeah, clearly that move was winning. Um, I guess avoid exchanges at this point, but really, it's game's over.
I think I can retreat the knight somewhere. Oh, maybe I can just throw in a check now that I think about it. Check. All right. Hold on. This is. Let me throw in a bishop check, I think, and then if f4, rook g2, does that work? Seems like it gets kind
Knight
of
C2
sketchy.
is his only move, is it not?
You know what? Let me just go rook c2. Let's not make things complicated. Okay, I actually think he had bishop b3 there. That would have been not so fun. Yeah, I got a few moves. Knight check is the first thing on my mind. So. I think this, sorry, knight, or sorry, rook to g2 looks pretty good.
I think I'm getting mated here, aren't I? This is close to mate. King f4 bishop. Yeah, I can't play king f4. Don't think anyway. King f4 bishop e5 is mate. Am I missing something? F4. Where can the king go? There. Yeah. I think this is pretty much mate or close to it.
Now it looks like he's in a mating net, so
Check.
I'm gonna go ahead
It's at
and
least winning another pawn.
go rook
It's not
g3,
mate.
followed by, I guess, bishop f6.
This has got to be mate. All right. Game.
All right. Can you guys hear me? Good game, man. Good game.
Unmute my volume. All right. Sorry, I had to unmute my volume, so I just whatever you just said, I didn't hear you.
Can you guys all hear each other?
Yep. Good game, man.
Great game. Yeah, I was pretty much lost from the beginning.
Okay.
Really? I actually felt like I wasn't doing too well there. I thought you had some chances there.
I dropped the pawn a couple moves before you saw it, and I think I dropped both my rooks as well, but I could be wrong about that.
No, you didn't actually.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me invite you guys to the board. Hold on a second.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
No, here. Accept this invite, okay? I'm gonna send you an invite.
Okay.
So I sent both of you guys an invite.
All right. Accepted.
Okay, great.
All right.
So just follow along with the chess.com, and I'll tell you guys what you could have done differently, maybe. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay. I have to make it a little smaller, actually.
It was towards the end. I felt like you had a bishop move there. Oh, here. Can you guys see this? 26?
No. I'll get to it. Don't worry about it. I'll get to it. Don't worry. I know what you were talking about.
Oh, okay.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me just get everything set up. Okay, so you can see how I'm scrolling through the moves, right, guys?
Roger. Yep.
No, I don't.
Okay, so knight f3.
Did you accept his invite?
Yeah, he did. He should be able to see it. You can see it, right? You know?
Oh.
No, I can't.
Okay, look at the game that says Derek's Discourse International Novice 01, and then it should be on move 3. You have it open because I see you in the chat, so.
Yeah, I have it open. I'm just not seeing any moves.
Okay, hold on. Let me start from the beginning.
Okay, now I see.
Can you see moves now?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so this is all fine. Derek played e4, which was okay. And then, you play this move knight c6. I think actually more accurate would have been to play like a move like knight f6, because you want to try to castle as soon as possible. So developing your king side is probably a good idea, and then it forces Derek to defend this pawn on e4. But that's okay. You play knight c6. Okay, so now Derek, you should have noticed that he's attacking this pawn on d4 twice. And right now, you're defending it twice.
And I said something about that.
Yeah.
And I still made the bishop move.
Yeah. So what should you do instead here?
It's defended twice, attacked twice. I don't know. Bishop e2 and castles.
Good.
Just develop.
Very good. Exactly. Yeah. So you want to develop this bishop, but you don't want to interfere with your queen's protection of the pawn. So yeah, bishop e2 would have been perfectly fine, and then castle. Exactly. But unfortunately, after bishop d3, this pawn is actually a free pawn, and could have simply taken it. Oops.
Yep. Right. Yeah, I was wondering about that.
What's going on? What are you guys making moves or something, or? Oh yeah, you are. Okay, hold on.
I'm not making a move.
Okay, I have no idea why it keeps doing this then. Okay, hold on a second. I don't even know how that's even possible. Okay, maybe it's lag. Okay, so you play bishop d3, and then you could have just taken the pawn, obviously. So after bishop g4,
right.
Okay, Derek, what should you have done here?
Bishop e2 and castles.
Well, the problem with bishop e2 is you're still hanging that pawn, right? Because he can take on f3, then take on d4. So how do you remove the threat to that pawn?
Good point. I was going to say bishop e4 is not an option. Move the pawn.
Yeah, very good.
D5.
Exactly. So yeah, you can actually play d5 here. And it's a little awkward, but I mean it's okay. So d5, for example, if he plays knight e5, now you can play bishop e2. And again, okay, if he takes, you can't exactly take Actually, you can take this way. I forgot. You can't take this way because if he takes here, you have this cute little queen a4 check, which wins his knight. So he can't actually take that pawn.
Well, what about knight to d4
yeah.
instead?
Okay, so that's the other thing. You could have done
try
knight
and
to
grab his
d4,
bishop.
but again, on knight d4. Oops. Okay, so it's laggy. What the heck is going on? Okay. Okay, so yeah, right. So knight d4, but then again, white can simply play bishop e2 here, and then followed up with knight c3, bishop e3, and you know, white's okay here. No real problems.
Right.
Okay, but instead, Derek, you play this move h3. Okay, so now you're basically conceding that you're gonna lose the pawn, which is not the worst thing in the world. Like, I mean, you know, okay, black's up a pawn, but you know, I mean, nothing else is really too tragic about your position, so you shouldn't be too discouraged at this point. Okay, so you play queen g4. Okay, so the problem with a move like queen g4 is it allows him to develop further with gain of time. So you probably want to put your queen in a square where it's less vulnerable. So I think even like a move like queen g3 would have been better, or queen d1 would have been okay too, just to kind of bring it back home. But the problem is on g4 it can be susceptible to attack. So after queen g4, see how he gains a tempo on your queen now with development. So that's something you want to try to avoid.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so now you play queen g3, but you see you basically gave him a free move, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here I think black, you know, you could probably just castle here. I don't really know why you have to play knight h5 necessarily. It kind of puts your knight on the rim unnecessarily. Because, I mean, you know, you're not really that unhappy that his queen's on g3, so, you know, castling seems fine. Queen d7 seems fine. But okay, so you actually play knight h5 and then went back to f6. So you repeated moves once, and then you played queen d7. Okay, so then knight c3 was good, developing. Okay, knight h5 again. Again, I'm not exactly sure why you played that, but okay, queen g4, and now
for some reason I forgot his bishop was covering these dark squares here.
Yeah,
so I kind of wanted to sink my knight into f4.
Yeah, I understand, but yeah, the bishop is covering f4. So here Derek offered the exchange of queens, which I thought was a little odd considering that you were down a pawn. Like, it's not necessarily a bad move, it's just I would feel like you would try to keep the queens on, and so maybe just like a move like queen to e3 or something.
Yeah, I just felt at that point that, especially being a huge center pawn down and him having, you know, being, you know, the fianchettoed bishop and two knights out, that really he had all the attacking prospects, and at this point I was really just playing for a draw.
Yeah, okay, understandable. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's a bad move necessarily. It's just usually people, when they're down a pawn, don't try to accelerate the endgame. But like I said, I don't think it's a bad move.
Yeah.
So you played queen g4, take, knight f6. Okay, so you played a good move here, f3, very nice. Okay, so now there's a problem. After this move h5, you have to notice that things are starting to get a little tricky because black is threatening this move. And how many times is this pink pawn being attacked?
It's being attacked twice.
And how many times is it defended?
Pawn. Yeah, just once.
Right.
At this
Okay.
point.
Yeah, and notice that his rook is defended on h8, but your rook is undefended on h1. So it actually opens up two things.
Roger.
After pawn takes pawn, he's actually opening up this attack and also this attack. So what should you do here?
Roger. Take the pawn?
Yeah, you could, but I actually think you can make a stronger move here, which is to actually simply push the pawn. And notice that you actually take away a good square from his knight. So his knight would have to retreat probably to d7 or something. And now you just develop, you know, bishop e3, his knight goes to c5, say, play something like king to d2. And, you know, I mean, you're down a pawn, but, I mean, you know, you have prospects of playing like rook b1, b4, starting, you know, a little bit of a queenside expansion. And notice how his kingside play is completely stifled now because of this pawn on g5. So, yeah. Always look out and ask yourself, what is my opponent threatening with his move? And then you could have asked yourself that, you know, okay, well, my pawn's being attacked twice, only defended once. Okay.
Yeah.
So after h5, whoops, sorry, this board is going a little haywire. Okay, so you play knight d5, which is a move that like normally would be something that's a good move because it actually helps you kind of open the c file and generate some attacking prospects on his c pawn. But unfortunately, it fails because of the tactical idea that your g4 pawn is simply hanging. So after knight d5, you play king d7. I'm not sure why you didn't actually simply just take here, and then maybe just take here. So the idea is, okay, if he doesn't want to lose a pawn, he has to take back, and then his pawns look terrible, right? He has a pawn here, on g4, and then a pawn on e4. So he has like 3 isolated pawns, basically. And actually, well, it depends what he takes back the knight with, but I mean, at least the g pawns would look really weak. Because now on king d7, you give him an opportunity to play g5 again, and kind of save his pawn. But okay, so you played king d7. Okay, so he played bishop e3. Oh, jeez. I don't know what the heck's going on with the board, but okay. So you played bishop e3. Okay. And now you're attacking his... So Derek's attacking his knight. Okay, so you played knight takes d5, which is a good move, because now you're simultaneously, capturing a piece while defending your knight. So that was good. Okay, so Derek took back the c pawn, which is correct. Good. Keeping your pawn structure intact and also getting ready to play rook c1. Okay, so you took the pawn. Okay, and now you actually played a really good move. King f2 was best, because you noticed correctly that your rook on h1 and your pawn on f3 are both hanging. So the only way to defend both squares is to play king f2. So king f2 is perfect, very good. Unfortunately, you are down 2 pawns now, but king f2 made the best of a bad situation. So he took. Okay, that was all good. Okay, now you play this move c6. You could have also simply taken on h1 and played rook h8, just tried to trade all the rooks. But I thought c6 was a reasonable move, trying to break up his pawn chain a bit. And so Derek, here I don't think I would have taken the pawn, simply because the pawn on d5 is actually causing him some problems. So maybe a move like simply rook to c1. Just activating your rook and then letting him take. It looks weird that you're kind of isolating your pawns on d5 and f3, but you get some counter chances on the c file and maybe on the e7 pawn as well, depending on where black puts his pieces. But I mean, taking is
all I saw was the isolated pawns, and plus that he had a knight and I had 2 bishops. So
I mean,
kind of my
it does make sense.
Preference.
It does make sense. So take. Okay, bishop c4. Okay, so unfortunately, well, actually, bishop c4 is a good idea because you're trying to target this pawn. But I would have probably prepared it first, maybe with like a rook c1. So then you're kind of like targeting this pawn on c6, and also you're preparing to maybe play b3 to kind of get this pawn out of take from not only this bishop on g7, but also like if he ever plays rook b8 to get out of take from rook on b8. So I mean, black can obviously defend anything that you attack, so you kind of want to make sure your position is as strong as possible before you make threats to his pawns. Because after bishop c4, unfortunately, he found the strong move knight c2, and all of a sudden, okay, these arrows are killing me. So all of a sudden now, after knight c2, he's winning a 3rd pawn, I believe, by force. So here, I think again.
Yeah, he could have won a third.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he could have won the b pawn by force here. No matter which way you slice it.
Right. So I think you have to keep your rook on h8 and simply play. So maybe a move just like rook a to b1 here, and then the idea is if he takes on h8. If he takes on h1, you take with your rook, and he takes on b2. Now you can maybe take on f7, and then at least you get a pawn back, and now g6 is potentially falling, and you actually have some decent compensation there. But unfortunately, after you take on h8, now the problem is you give this h file to him. So once you move rook to d1, now rook h2 actually just wins material because your rook is hanging at the end. So after king g3, knight takes e3, now you're losing more material because once your rook moves, he can either just take on c4 and have knight and bishop and 2 extra pawns against the rook, which is a pretty good material advantage, or he can kind of do what happened in the game. So after this move rook d3,
Right.
yeah, he actually missed a mate here. Yeah, he found it one move later, but if he had played the move knight f1 one move sooner, it would have been the same mate that had happened in the game would have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after rook c2, I mean, yeah, probably here is probably just best to take on e3 and just play a piece down, but, you know, I mean, the prospects are bleak at the very least. So after taking f7, he did find this mate, which was after knight f1. So yeah, I mean, you made a couple of really good defensive moves. I thought queen g4 was actually, you know, a decent try, and king f2 was great, but you have to make sure that you ask yourself what's being attacked and what's being defended, and make sure you don't interrupt those lines of communication, because it's easy for the game to go south quickly once that happens.
Indeed.
Yeah. And you know, I thought you played pretty well. You missed a couple of opportunities, like there were twice when you had a free pawn that you didn't take until the falling move, so just make sure you kind of jump in on stuff when you had the opportunity.
Because felt shaky.
Yeah, because you might not have a second chance, that's the thing.
Right.
Alright guys, well, I think this was really instructive, and you guys did a great job.
Thanks.
Thank you for the
good game.
The post-game analysis.
Yeah, no problem.
Was our commentary pretty good?
Yeah, fantastic. Both you guys did a great job actually of kind of staying in your lines and only commenting when it was your move, but also doing a good job of explaining exactly what you were thinking. So it was really, really helpful. I think the people in the chat really liked it a lot. So.
All right,
Okay,
thanks
cool.
guys.
Cool.
Yep. So I'll talk to you guys soon, and
All right,
thanks
thank
for
you.
being on.
Good game, Derek.